PSG snatching Kvaratskhelia from Napoli. Rashford moving to Manchester United's direct rival. Guardiola's triple transfer deal. An unexpected twist in Viktor Gyökeres' transfer saga. Juventus signs a Barcelona Star. All this and much more in today's episode. If this video gets 500 thumbs up, it will motivate us to keep creating new content. So sit back, enjoy the show, and let's get started. You've probably already heard that there's been some unhealthy buzz surrounding Barcelona lately. It seems like Ronald Araujo, one of the Catalans' key defenders, might be on his way out, and not just anywhere, but, according to Rumours, to Juventus in Turin. Surprising, isn't it? Here's what's being reported. Mundo Deportivo, for instance, claims that Araujo has supposedly been complaining to his teammates, saying he's unhappy with everything and ready to leave as early as this winter without waiting for the summer window. Moreover, word from the locker room suggests that Ronald himself would prefer England over Italy. Meanwhile, Sport ES reports that Barca wouldn't mind letting him go, not on loan, but permanently, for something like 45 million euros. For reference, Transfermarkt values him at 55 million euros, but considering his contract is nearing its expiration and no one seems interested in extending it, they've apparently decided to lower the price, so to speak. Honestly, though, the amount seems ridiculously low to me. The guy's a top-tier defender. Anyway, time is clearly working against Barca. They need to figure something out quickly before he leaves for free. And now, Juventus has entered the scene, seemingly very interested in Araujo despite his own dreams of playing in the Premier League. Rumour has it that immediately after the Super Cup, the old lady will start pushing hard for the transfer. But it's not all smooth sailing here either. Juventus is reportedly looking to take him on loan first and only then decide whether to purchase him outright. Naturally, Barca might not like the sound of that. They'd probably insist on a permanent sale, or, at the very least, a loan with a mandatory buy clause. If Juve were to return him after the loan, it would send a signal to other clubs that there's something wrong with him, something that would obviously hurt Barca's position. They need either a full sale or a loan with an obligation to buy. So the situation is complicated. On the one hand, if Barca is truly willing to let him go for 45 million euros, the risk might be worth it. But on the other hand, I wouldn't rush to write Araujo off. It seems to me that the best is yet to come for him, and he could still turn things around. And while Juventus might be an intriguing option, there's the question of England. Considering his injury history, as we've mentioned before, that could be problematic. According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, the Turin club plans to sign Araujo on loan. The Uruguayan has allegedly already given the green light as he's eager for more game time. The outlet Relevo writes that negotiations between Ronald and Barca over a new contract have completely stalled. Additionally, he's reportedly confessed to teammates that he feels burned out, both on and off the pitch. So it's not surprising that he's exploring his options. A transfer to Juventus, at least on loan, could be an opportunity for him to hit the reset button and regain his best form. As for Juventus itself, things aren't exactly rosy there either. Their finances are in rough shape, to put it mildly, due to overspending and recent struggles in the league, not to mention the financial scandals they've been caught up in. While the management tries to figure out how to restore the team to its former glory, they'll need to tread carefully in the transfer market, especially given that injuries have been decimating their squad. Bremer's ACL injury has been a full-blown disaster, leaving them in desperate need of a new centre-back. The Italian newspaper La Repubblica reports that Araujo is definitely moving to Juve on loan. He's set to undergo a medical and sign the contract next week. Not long ago, Araujo was the cornerstone of Barca's defense, and now look at this. But if it's true, this could be a real chance for the Uruguayan to reboot his career. And for Juventus, it's an opportunity to patch up their defense, at least for the moment. In any case, we'll see how it all pans out. The situation is certainly intriguing, and something tells us this won't be the end of the story. What do you think? How will this saga conclude? It seems that Leo Messi, wait for it, might be returning to Europe. You'd think the man is living the dream in Miami, enjoying football on American pitches. Life is good, but as they say, there's still some fire left in him, and the World Cup is just around the corner. To properly prepare for the 2026 World Cup, Messi, according to Rumours, might pull off a surprise move and show up in Europe again. Which raises a reasonable question. Why? Well, first of all, the MLS is great and all, but let's face it, the World Cup is a whole different level. He'll need tougher competition, to avoid falling short on the big stage. The most interesting part is that Inter Miami itself doesn't seem to be against such a development. Rumor has it that the new contract they're actively offering Leo includes a special clause, a sort of ace up the sleeve, that would allow him to play somewhere in Europe at the end of 2025 and the start of 2026. Just to stay in form. Clever Americans, no doubt about it. Messi stays active, the Argentine national team is happy, and Inter Miami gets to brag that the one and only Messi played for them, even if he takes off somewhere for a couple of months. So, where might our hero go? Well, I think most fans, and probably everyone here in the studio, would give the same answer. Barcelona, of course. Where else? He's not going to Real Madrid after all. Then again, who knows? All jokes aside, a comeback to his beloved club where he became a legend, where he's loved and awaited with open arms. Now, that would be a story worth telling. Plus, let's be honest, Barca's not having the best of times right now, and a transfer like this would be a breath of fresh air, both for the fans and for the club's finances. Let's not kid ourselves, Messi merch would fly off the shelves in no time. Of course, all of this is just rumors for now, and no papers have been signed. But can you imagine Messi back at Camp Nou, even if only for a couple of months? That would be a true gift for all football fans. And I'm sure Leo wouldn't mind rolling back the years and reminding himself what it's like to play in a top European league again. Then again, we shouldn't forget that Messi has always prioritized his family's comfort above all else. So it's entirely possible that he might choose a quieter league where there's less pressure. But something tells me the story with Barca isn't over yet. Do you believe Messi will return to Europe? And if so, where do you think he'll go? Florian Plettenberg from Sky Sport Germany has sent shockwaves through the football world, reporting that Sporting are standing their ground. They absolutely refuse to sell their star striker, Viktor Gyökeres, this winter. Yes, that Swedish goal machine they managed to scoop up not so long ago, in 2023, for a club record fee of, wait for it, 20 million euros. And you know what's the funniest part? According to Rumours, his value has now skyrocketed, drumroll please, to 5 times that amount. Now that's what I call a solid investment. In just a year and a half, the guy has turned into one of the hottest forwards in Europe. And then, out of nowhere, who comes sniffing around? That's right, Bayern Munich. These guys just can't seem to sleep peacefully without snapping up every top-tier player in sight. But seriously, who wouldn't want a striker like Gyökeres on their team? He's the real deal right now. A powerhouse, a goal-scoring machine, an absolute beast. And Bayern, it seems, are already making their move. Scouts are coming and going, watching his matches, having quiet chats with agents. In short, the wheels are in motion. If we believe the press, Bayern were especially impressed by Gyökeres' recent performance against Porto. As for his current market value, it's said to be around 75 million euros. But here's the kicker. His contract includes a release clause of a whopping 100 million euros. That said, given his current level of performance, that sum doesn't even sound outrageous anymore. The transfer market these days is so inflated that even average players are fetching similar fees. And here we're talking about a ready-made star. However, as we've mentioned before, a winter move to Bayern seems highly unlikely. Sporting appear to be taking a firm stance. And honestly, I don't blame them. Why would they want to lose their top scorer in the middle of the season? So it looks like Bayern will have to lay the groundwork for the summer transfer window instead. Personally, I think Bayern would be a perfect destination for Viktor. Yes, they already have Harry Kane, and obviously no one's writing him off just yet. But let's be real here. Kane isn't getting any younger. Injuries, can happen. And who knows, Gyökeres might get his chance sooner than we think. And let's not forget how sneaky the Germans can be when it comes to transfers. Remember the whole Lewandowski saga? Everything seemed fine, and then, bam! The Polish striker was off to Barcelona. So to say that Kane will finish his career at Bayern, I wouldn't be so quick to make that call. In any case, Bayern would be a fantastic club for Gyökeres, a top-tier team in a league where he could maintain his goal-scoring form. Honestly, right now, Bayern looks even more appealing than most Premier League clubs, at least in my opinion. Signing a player of Gyökeres' caliber could work wonders for Bayern, but it seems like they'll have to wait until the summer. And this is where rumours of a gentleman's agreement between Gyökeres and Sporting come into play. Allegedly, Sporting are willing to let him go in the summer for around 75 million euros. We'll see if that actually happens, but it does seem like Sporting are already mentally preparing for the departure of their Swedish diamond. So, what do you think of this situation? Should Gyökeres make the move to Bayern in the summer, or should he stay at Sporting and keep lighting it up there? Share your thoughts in the comments. Manchester United has set their sights on Brentford forward Bryan Mbeumo and is ready to compete with Arsenal for his signature. And why not? The guy is genuinely impressive. This season, MBEUMO has been absolutely dominating the Premier League. In Ivan Toney's absence, he's become Brentford's leader, scoring an impressive 13 goals in 20 matches. Just think about it. That's more than in any of his previous seasons. Right now, only Haaland and Salah are performing better. No wonder the big clubs have their eyes on him, right? As a reminder, Brentford paid nearly £6 million for him in 2019, which was a club record at the time, and it proved to be a brilliant investment. MBEUMO has developed into a versatile forward who can play anywhere in attack. According to the press, his work rate and ability to turn around seemingly lost matches have caught Ruben Amorim's attention. Amorim particularly values versatility and determination in players, and MBEUMO fits these criteria perfectly. What about Manchester United? Well, as we mentioned before, they're going through a rebuild. The club plans to fund transfers through player sales. MBEUMO's versatility is a major plus for the Red Devils, who are looking to refresh their attacking line. Arsenal is also interested in strengthening their squad, especially as they compete for the title. Brentford's manager, Thomas Frank, has made it clear MBEUMO isn't for sale in January. That's pretty definitive, wouldn't you say? But things could change in the summer. Reportedly, United is prepared to double MBEUMO's current salary, which is £50,000 per week. However, there's a catch. United will need to sell players to fund MBEUMO's purchase. That's just the reality of the situation. Interestingly, his contract with Brentford runs until 2026, giving the club a strong position in negotiations. On the other hand, the player himself told L'Équipe that he wants to play for a top club in the most prestigious competitions. So despite his good contract with Brentford, we think the player wouldn't be against moving to a stronger team. This raises the main question: can MBEUMO handle Manchester United's level? On one hand, his performances for Brentford are impressive. He would certainly add energy and creativity to United's attack, but can he prove himself there? It's a tough question. We doubt MBEUMO would fail, but still. According to the Daily Star, Manchester United will make a £40 million offer for Bryan Mbeumo in the summer. Additionally, Newcastle might join the race for his signature. Rumours suggest United is willing to wait until summer to avoid overpaying in January. To finance the transfer, the club might part ways with certain players, possibly including Alejandro Garnacho. Apparently, Garnacho himself isn't against leaving, being frustrated with his lack of playing time. Importantly, we think the £40 million price tag is quite reasonable considering current market conditions. What's our final thought? The MBEUMO transfer is certainly interesting. A new, talented player always adds intrigue. But does Manchester United really need this right now? That's a huge question. We really hope the club isn't just chasing a big name, but actually understands what they're doing. For now, we'll wait to see how this story unfolds. Marcus Rashford, our good old lad from Manchester United, seems to be preparing for a change of scenery. According to the press, and particularly Italian journalists, Arsenal has seriously picked up the phone to call Manchester United about Rashford. Can you believe it? The Gunners are interested in a player who, not so long ago, seemed untouchable at Old Trafford. But as we all know, times change. And let's not forget that Rashford himself doesn't seem too eager to stay at United anymore. Well, the usual story when a new manager benches you after 2 decent games. New life, new challenges, as they say. Think about it. Arsenal is clearly struggling in attack, and suddenly the opportunity arises to snag a forward of Marcus's caliber. But of course, there's a catch, or a few, actually. First off, Rashford's wages are no joke. £300,000 a week. Not every club is willing to pay that, and honestly, who could blame them in today's climate? And second, and this is a big one, United values him at £50 million, while Arsenal, with a squint, thinks he's worth just £25 million. That's a massive gap in valuation. So we doubt these negotiations will be smooth or quick. But here's the most intriguing part, in my opinion. It's not just Arsenal in the race. A whole herd of clubs is reportedly chasing Rashford. There's AC Milan, who could probably afford him if they're not too picky about his wages. Then there's Napoli, and even Borussia Dortmund. All of them are interested in at least a loan deal, though we all know how much United would prefer to sell him outright. Remember? No worries. Let me remind you, United desperately needs cash for new transfers, so the Red Devils have two options: let him go for a bargain price or keep him and deal with his hefty wages. The choice is theirs, but let's be honest, this situation is far from straightforward. Something tells us this transfer won't be an easy one. Can you even picture Rashford in an Arsenal shirt? Honestly, it's hard to believe. That would be directly strengthening a rival. Plus, Rashford would have to work his socks off to secure a spot in Arsenal's starting E8. And we're curious, does he even want to take on that challenge? Or will he opt for some sunshine and relaxation in Serie A instead? Not a bad alternative if you ask me. We'll see how it all pans out. What about you? Doesn't this whole thing sound a bit strange? Share your thoughts in the comments. We're almost certain a transfer will happen. The real question is how it's going to go down. If we believe the latest news, Real Madrid, who seem to have set their sights on Trent Alexander-Arnold long ago, has suddenly encountered some unexpected competition. And who would have thought? It's Bayern Munich entering the race. To recap, it's no secret that Real has had their eye on Alexander-Arnold for quite some time. The Liverpool star's contract is set to expire this year, and rumours suggest that Los Blancos have already dropped a few hints about a potential offer. But, as they say, nothing is decided until the deal is done. And now, out of nowhere, Bayern appears on the horizon. According to reports from the Spanish press, Real Madrid was genuinely taken aback when they learned about the German giant's interest. And honestly, it's easy to see why. Bayern is a powerhouse that knows how to lure top-tier players, and it seems like they're more than serious this time. Word has it that they're ready to offer Trent a very attractive salary and, perhaps even more importantly, a key role in their tactical plans. Vincent Kompany, it seems, believes this could be the decisive factor in swaying Trent their way. Well, we'll see how it plays out. This naturally raises an important question. What about Liverpool? Are they really ready to let their star player go just like that? It doesn't look too promising for the Merseyside club. Reports suggest that keeping Trent might be an almost impossible task, and honestly, it's hard to argue. When clubs of this caliber come knocking, especially with a contract nearing its end, any player would be tempted. However, there's another side to the story. Rumor has it that Alexander-Arnold himself isn't too keen on a move to the Bundesliga. Allegedly, his priorities lie either in staying at his beloved Liverpool or making the jump to Madrid. Something tells us that the real factor plays a huge role here. After all, the name Real Madrid carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? Then again, football is unpredictable. Bayern seems highly motivated and ready to fight for this deal. They understand that Real Madrid currently has some issues in the right-back position, given Carvajal's age and recurring injuries. And for them, Trent seems like the perfect long-term solution. This brings us to the most intriguing part. What decision will Trent himself make? Will he sit tight and wait for the summer of 2025 to leave for Real Madrid on a free transfer? Or will he take the risk and try something new with Bayern? Or perhaps Liverpool will pull off a last-minute miracle and convince him to stay? Honestly, we can't wait to see how this saga unfolds. My personal opinion, I think Real Madrid remains the favourite in this race. Their history, ambition, and the players' apparent inclination towards Spain all seem to work in their favour. But Bayern shouldn't be underestimated. These guys know how to surprise. And of course, we can't forget Liverpool. Despite all the rumours, they clearly won't give up without a fight. Arne Slot sees Trent as a key player, and the club will surely go to great lengths to persuade him to sign a new contract. Although, frankly, it's hard to picture that happening. What do you think? Where will Trent end up? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. It seems Guardiola has decided to initiate a full-blown reboot, and he's doing it right now, in the middle of the season. So, if the press is to be believed, the citizens are not just scouting potential signings, but are already negotiating for 3 players. And, as they say, this is just the beginning. By the end of the month, there's talk of even more arrivals. City appears to be serious about refreshing their squad and turning around what can only be described as a less than stellar campaign. Lessons learned, apparently. First up, if reports are accurate, is Eintracht Frankfurt striker Omar Marmoush. Naturally, this raises a question. What's up with Haaland? Could there be some intrigue brewing here too? That said, Marmoush is reportedly a sharp, goal-hungry player, 18 goals this season so far. Not bad at all. Negotiations seem to be in full swing, with German sources even claiming personal terms with the player are already agreed. Changes are brewing in defense as well. City has their eyes on Lens defender Abdulkadir Kusanov and Vitor Reis from Palmeiras. Young, promising. Guardiola seems to be betting on fresh blood, and you know what? It feels like the right move. City's defense lately hasn't exactly been a fortress. You get the idea. Now, the midfield is where things get particularly spicy. Word is the club wants to sign not one, but two midfielders. According to Rumours, the main targets are Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle and Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Now, that is a statement of intent. But how realistic is it? Newcastle, as you know, is on the rise and unlikely to part with their star. And Real Sociedad, a solid team in their own right. Still, as the saying goes, if Plan A doesn't work, City has backup options. Enter a familiar name, Douglas Luiz. Remember when we discussed his potential move before? Turns out, Juventus might be open to letting him leave on loan. Beyond these positions, the citizens are also considering strengthening other areas. Where there are arrivals, there are departures, and City has some interesting developments here too. İlkay Gündoğan, who's back at the club, has an option to extend his contract, but his future is, shall we say, uncertain. He hasn't played much this season, and there's a sense Guardiola might see him more as a coach than a player. Kyle Walker, it seems, is leaning towards leaving at the end of the season. The veteran may be ready to seek new challenges, or just take a break from the relentless pace of the Premier League. And then there's Kevin De Bruyne. His contract is running out, and there's been no word of an extension. Rumours are linking him with San Diego in the MLS. Yeah, MLS. Big money. It's possible one of the Premier League's greatest midfielders could leave Europe. A January move seems unlikely, but a summer departure, that's a real possibility. Finally, Jack Grealish. Honestly, this is the biggest question mark. Guardiola seems to back him, but Jack's form is, let's say, inconsistent. And now there are rumours of interest from Tottenham. The catch? Grealish's salary. Spurs would need to fork out a hefty sum, and City is unlikely to accept less than the £100 million they paid Aston Villa. So, where does that leave us? Manchester City is clearly embarking on a serious rebuild. Guardiola looks determined to shake things up, refresh the squad, and reclaim their dominant position. Signing 3 or even 6 players in the January transfer window is a bold statement. It shows intent and a willingness to spend. Marmoush, Kusanov, Reis. Interesting additions, especially considering their youth and potential. On the flip side, potential departures like De Bruyne and Grealish could significantly impact the team's attacking strength. Perhaps Guardiola sees the new signings as equal replacements, or even upgrades. As for the midfield rumours, Guimaraes and Zubimendi, those would be massive signings, but pulling off those transfers will be very challenging. Douglas Luiz seems like a more realistic option, but how well would he fit into Guardiola's tactics? That's an open question. In any case, this winter promises to be intense for Manchester City. Transfer rumours are buzzing, negotiations are ongoing, and Guardiola seems ready to surprise everyone. Can the citizens strengthen their squad and climb back to the top? Time will tell. What do you think? Which transfers seem most likely to you? Who would you like to see in Manchester City's squad? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss. KHVICHA Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian star, the one and only Kvaradona, is almost certainly on his way to PSG. Can you believe it? And it's not just some random tabloids reporting this, it's credible sources like Di Marzio and Fabrizio Romano. Basically, everyone's saying that the transfer is practically finalized, and it looks like KHVICHA will be moving to Paris this winter. So if the press is to be believed, Napoli is ready to let go of their star for €80 million. Honestly, this makes sense, considering the kind of mess Napoli finds itself in right now. It seems like De Laurentiis has finally learned his lesson after getting burned with the Osimhen situation. And let's be real, €80 million is solid money, especially when you think about how little Napoli paid to snag KHVICHA in the first place. Got to give them credit for that. Well done, Napoli. Now here's an interesting twist to spice things up. Rumours suggest that Milan Skriniar, PSG's defender, might be included as part of the deal. As usual, the French side is trying to save some cash and negotiate a better price, but they seem serious about this transfer. Skriniar, in this case, is more of a bargaining chip. Let's face it, he doesn't have much of a future in Paris, but this way, at least he might serve some purpose, and honestly, for Napoli, this wouldn't be a bad addition. Let's not forget, the guy was class when he played in Serie A. Of course, he ruined it all for himself when he chased after the oil money, but it is what it is. As for Kvaratskhelia himself, a move to PSG seems like a relatively safe choice. The risks of him flopping there are minimal, and even if things don't go well, it'll be cushioned by a fat contract, courtesy of Al Khalifi. But the big question is, can this really be considered a step forward for him? That's up for debate. Personally, we don't think this is some massive challenge for KHVICHA. Napoli and PSG, at the end of the day, are pretty similar in terms of being dominant in their domestic leagues, but lacking a certain edge. Sure, PSG has unlimited money and might look a bit stronger in the Champions League, but that's just surface level stuff. Now, if we were talking about Barca or Bayern, that would be something. Or the Premier League. That wouldn't be the best choice for KHVICHA either. The challenges there are immense, but so are the risks. No joke. Here's the real question. What's going on in KHVICHA's head? If he's truly craving those big challenges and new horizons, then PSG might not be the right team for him. On the other hand though, will he even get opportunities to move to a club like Bayern or Barca? Those chances might never come, and here he has both the money and a change of scenery. Plus, if he proves himself there, PSG could become a stepping stone to Barca later on. Let's not forget that Napoli is a very unique kind of team. It's not the best indicator of a player's true potential. We're pretty sure this is one of the reasons why no one has taken Osimhen yet for the insane 120 million euros that De Laurentiis has been asking for, even though the market value seemed to justify it. So friends, something tells us that this transfer isn't really about sporting ambitions. It's more about comfort and stability. And, of course, the money. Personally, I don't think it's a perfect move, but it's not a bad one either. Ultimately, it's up to KHVICHA to decide, and all we can do is watch. So, let's wait and see how it all plays out. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to check out our previous episode. It's popping up on your screen right now. That's all for today. See you soon. Good luck to everyone, and goodbye.